10 Modern Fashion Trends and Their Fascinating Histories. Number 10. Why women shave their legs. During the World War II, the U.S. experienced a stockings shortage as the government redirected the use of nylon from stockings to war parachutes. For women, the nylon shortage meant having to bare their legs in public. To be deemed socially acceptable, women began to shave their legs. After the war, as skirts became shorter, the trend stuck around. Number 9. Why girls wear pink and boys wear blue. We have all been there. At a baby shower, the color of everything from the tablecloths to the napkins corresponds to the gender of the baby. Blue is for boys, and pink is for girls. But things were not always this way. For centuries, children younger than 6 mostly wore flowing white dresses according to University of Maryland historian Joe B. Paoletti. Around 1985, that all changed with the rise of prenatal testing, which allowed parents to determine the gender of the child. As expectant parents learned the sex of their babies, they began to shop for girl or boy merchandise. Number 8. Why women's and men's buttons are on opposite sides. Odds are you own a button-up shirt. Take a look at which side the buttons are on. If you're a man, chances are the buttons are on the right. If you're a woman, you'll likely find your buttons on the left. There's an interesting historical reason for this. Melanie M. Moore, who created women's blouse brand Elizabeth & Clark, explains, when buttons were invented in the 13th century, they were, like most new technology, very expensive. Wealthy women back then did not dress themselves, their ladies' maid did. Since most people were right-handed, this made it easier for someone standing across from you to button your dress. 3 is for men's shirts. Fashion historian Chloe Chapin traces the fashion quirk to the military. Access to a weapon practically trumped everything, she says, noting that a firearm tucked inside a shirt would be easier to reach from the dominant side. Number 7. Why men stopped wearing high heels. For generations, a pair of high heels has signaled feminine beauty. But before then, high heels were a staple in men's closets. Elizabeth Simlak of the Battersea Museum in Toronto says, the high heel was worn for centuries throughout the Near East as a form of riding footwear. When the soldier stood up in his stirrups, the heel helped him to secure his stance so that he could shoot his bow and arrow more effectively. Number 6. Why we paint our nails. If you thought the manicure was a new phenomenon, you would be wrong. Did you know that the world's oldest manicure set, made from solid gold dating to 3200 BC, is over 5,000 years old? The ancient Babylonians, who created that set, were known to have loved caring for their nails. Ming Dynasty elites were also fans of painted nails, using a mixture of egg whites, gelatin, and rubber to dye their nails crimson and black. In England, Elizabeth I, a fashion icon of her day, was widely admired for her manicured nails and beautiful hands. Number 5. Why long hair became a thing for women. While hair trends have fallen in and out of fashion, one thing across cultures and millennia has remained fairly constant: the expectation that women would have long hair. We've seen it from the depiction of a long-haired Aphrodite to St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians, in which he wrote, "If a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her." According to Sten, a former professor of pathology and dermatology at Yale, hair is highly communicative. It sends messages about sexuality, religious beliefs, and power. In particular, he believes that long hair can communicate health and wealth. Number 4. Why some people sag their pants. According to University of Massachusetts historian Tanisha C. Ford, the origins of sagging can't be definitively traced. But there are 2 leading theories. The first is that inmates, prohibited from wearing belts in prison, often sagged their uniforms. Then they continued the style after returning home. The second theory is that convicts wore their pants low as a means of letting other prisoners know they were sexually available. Number 3. Why we wear wedding bands on the ring finger. The tradition can be traced back to Roman times. The Romans believed that a vein ran directly from the heart to the ring finger. They named it the vena amoris, vein of love. Naturally, they thought it'd be fitting to place one's wedding band on that finger. Quite romantic, by the way. Modern science has proven that all fingers have a vein connection to our hearts. Number 2. Why men wear ties. Most neckwear historians agree that the necktie grew in prominence around the time of the 30 Years' War in the 1600s. To fight the war, King Louis XIII employed Croatian mercenaries who wore a piece of cloth around their necks. While these early neckties were largely functional, they tied the tops of their jackets. King Louis XIII liked them as sartorial adornments. Indeed, he made these early neckties mandatory dress for formal gatherings and named them after the Croatian mercenaries, cravat. To this day, that means necktie in France. Number 1. Why women shave their armpits. Women and men have had armpit hair for millennia. So why do roughly 95% of women shave or wax their underarms? Who woke up one day and decided that women with armpit hair are unsightly? Well, we can thank a 1915 Harper's Bazaar advertisement for that. Before then, women with bushy pits were the norm. But the ad told women that modern dancing and sleeveless dresses were the next big thing and that objectionable hair was out. The ad featured a photograph of a young woman in a sleeveless dress. Her arms were arched over her head, revealing perfectly clear armpits.